within you and everywhere, right? So every time I hear that song, I feel like it reminds me of this. What's getting out of the way? Who knows what's getting out of the way?
Small I self.
Say again?
The small I
The
self.
small I self, right? So we say get out of the way, and we have to remember that God's in us, so God's having its way, but you know what we do is we get our ego, right? That's the small I self. We get the ego in the way. This is what I often imagine. I'm driving the car. Who is driving? The ego self or the God self? That's what that means. So when I hear that song, put the ego in the back. It has its place, but get out of the way and let God do His thing. Where? Through you. Right? So you're not getting rid of yourself. You're just letting the Spirit be a bigger part of yourself. Okay, now that song was all for me. Because today is a fifth Sunday. And on fifth Sunday, I usually do your turn and I let you ask questions, correct?
Yep.
You've done this with me before, yeah?
Yep.
We're doing it just slightly different today. We're going to do a thing called pick a page. So here's what it's going to work. It's between 25 and 500. Someone's going to call out a page number. We're going to have to do this actually. I think I'll have you raise your hands because I'm going to get too many numbers. Then I'll tell you how many paragraphs are on that page and you can tell me what paragraph you want. I'll read it. And then after I read the paragraph, we'll talk about what it means in my opinion. So it's kind of like this whole coaching thing today, right? I'm your coach. And we're just going to coach, we're going to practice together, but I'm going to let you tell me what page we're going to read. We're going to see what Ernest Holmes has to say, and then we're going to apply it to our life. Sound good?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, first hand up gets the pick. Jimmy.
73.
73. Okay, I'll tell you how many pages, how many paragraphs. 73. There's 1, 2, 3 paragraphs. Which one do you want? 1, 2, or 3?
2.
2. All right. 2's kind of a long one. All right.
Way to go, Jimmy.
All right, however, oh, this is so good, it like fits the song. However, a day came when some wise man claimed that it is not the brain that does the thinking, for if the brain could think, it would keep on thinking when removed from the body. Yet without a brain, a man could not think, which proved that something behind the brain used it as an instrument. So humans do think. So behind the brain, there must be a thinker. Where is the thinker? We do not see the thinker. Have we a right to say there is a thinker? We have never seen this thinker? Yes, for the proof of this reality is the evidence of your thought. Back of the organism, or behind the organism, is the thinker and the doer, the mind, capital M. This was the greatest discovery of all time, for it meant that the body, without the thinker, could not function. At first, humans didn't perceive this and thought only of the body as self-operating. But when we discovered that this was not the case, we found that we could consciously think and decide, and that something happened to our thoughts after we thought them. They went somewhere and returned as a memory. I want to go back just the first part. I could have probably just stopped because that was a long one. That if the brain could keep on thinking, it would think when it was removed from the body. But without a brain, you can't think, which proves that something behind the brain used it as an instrument. I think it ties in beautifully with that song. Something behind the brain uses it as an instrument. That's the bigger part of us, right? So the little I, we could say that's even our brain, because the brain is localized within us. That's the small I. But there's something bigger than us behind that brain. Because the brain in of itself is just a thing that looks like a head of cauliflower. It does some amazing things. But there's something behind it, and that's what we call the mind of God. So for us to all remember, if we say, oh, my brain is doing this, or it's my mind who's thinking these thoughts, it's the greater mind that thinks our thoughts. So I think that from a coaching perspective, what we get to practice is letting the capital M mind, the great thinker, think through us. So I kind of imagine it right now, and imagine it as it's flowing through me. I imagine it literally flowing through my brain right now. Or sometimes, I do this thing where I kind of open up with both arms, and I imagine that it's flowing in. So we get to practice knowing that we are more than just our brain. We get to practice knowing that the mind that we're using is the mind of God, the mind of the divine. Yes? That makes sense? So that's the practice. practice piece. Practice knowing that there's something greater than our brain that we have access to, but it's coming through our brain or through our mind. Okay? Good? All right. Who else? Denise.
Fate 444.
The psychology behind the pages you're picking would probably be interesting to know too. 444. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs.
Number 4.
Number 4. 4, 4, 4, 4. All right. So this is in the section called From the Teachings of Jesus. And this is under a subtitle called The Power at the Heart of God. He says, the problem of philosophy, this is Ernest Holmes' take on Jesus. The problem of philosophy is to unite the infinite with the finite, to join the abstract with the concrete, to find a meeting place between the absolute and the relative, to unify the first cause. The same problem confronts religion and is indeed its whole purpose, to unify man, humanity, with God. This is also true of science, but from a different angle. Science seeks to join causes with effects, and by so doing, make practical use of its knowledge. Science is really spiritual, while philosophy leads to true religion. Science is the handmaid of religion and philosophy. You know, this ties into the very first thing he says on page 25. We all look forward to the day when religion and science walk hand in hand. We all look forward to that day. There's plenty of religions out there who don't look forward to that day. Matter of fact, they deny that day. But Ernest Holmes was kind of ahead of himself. I'm going to read this first part again. It is through the relation of the South to the South that one understands life. The problem of philosophy is to unite the infinite with the finite, the abstract with the concrete, to find a meeting place between the absolute and the relative, to unify with first cause. Right? So I think this is what our religion is about. We're always trying to figure out what God is and what's our place to within it, right? Isn't that what our whole thing is about? Isn't that what our whole purpose is? To figure out what is this thing called God, what is this thing called life, and what is our place in it. To take the absolute, which is the bigger picture, and the concrete, which is us. To take the infinite, which is mind-blowing in and of itself. Infinite? No beginning and no end. I love that idea. But we are finite. We, as a body, as a person, have an ending. We have a beginning and an ending. But the infinite part of us doesn't. So it's very much actually like the first one, isn't it? That our job, our practice then, is to practice remembering the bigger part of who we are. We are the finite, yes, but we are also the infinite. We are the concrete, but we are also the absolute. We are also the human. We are also the divine. There is where we practice remembering who we truly are. If I give you a practice and you go, I don't understand it, go ahead and raise your hand on that too. All right, who's the next? Ryan.
66.
66. Get your kicks on 66. All right, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs. 5. This is underneath the heading called Absolute Intelligence. I think there's a divine design here. You see how these are all connecting already? That's cool. All right. This says, creation means the giving of form to the substance of mind or spirit. Creation means the giving of form to the substance of mind or spirit. Spirit being all and only, there is nothing for it to change into but itself. Therefore, it is the changeless within which must take place all change or manifestation of itself. The infinite of itself is formless. The infinite of itself is formless, but within it are contained all the forms which give expression to its consciousness. So this thing about creation, giving of form into the substance of mind or spirit, who can tell me what that also might be called? I'll give you a hint. Say it! Say it! Yes,
Good. You get a brown.
because it came from you, I'm doubly happy. Excellent. Right? It's the creative process. Creation is from the Spirit where all forms are possible. It's invisible, but it's the potentiality. There's no form. It's infinite. It's invisible. But all form is brought into being by our thinking at this point in time. The part I really like is this, because people say, oh, I hate change or I fear change. And we humans really don't do very good with change. Spirit being all and only, there's nothing for it to change into but itself. So no matter what we change, no matter how we change, even after we pass on from the body into this thing we call death, there's nothing for it to change into but itself. That really helps we practice not being afraid of life. Our practice there is to remember nothing to fear, because whatever change happens, whatever change happens, it's still God. It's still Spirit. Nice. Good. Brownie points over there. Yes, Ross. Okay, your turn.
I want to share something.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I do that?
Stand up.
It's on this theme.
It's on this thread that we're...
This theme, and it's kind of freaky and cool.
I like fruit.
And I've never heard anybody talk about it. There's somebody in the room who knows about the phenomenon. Come talk to me. So I have a condition that I have trouble with my memory. I've always had it. It's not, it hasn't to do with age. And recently I got a medication that helps. And my doctor said to me, you'll notice some small changes immediately, but it'll take time for synapses to rewire and grow and all that. And if you, the more word games you can do and crossword puzzles and that stuff, the further it will grow. So I'm sitting at my computer. I've been on it for a couple of weeks, and this thing starts happening in a word jumble where there'll be 9 letters. This is a big word, to reorganize. And I sit there and I'll move the first letter and try, and I got
So
nothing.
this is an intentional game you're playing.
Yes.
You're trying to plunge on
Yeah, and I got nothing. No word patterns, no spelling, nothing. And out of the blue, my hand quickly starts moving the mouse and puts the letters in order.
Get out of the way.
To a word that I don't know until they're all there and it's right. And every time it happens quickly. It's like a ghost or something. And it's not happening so much anymore because I'm getting them more consciously now. So I think that was a temporary state. But at first it completely freaked me out. And now I don't care if it's a God thing or an anatomy thing, but it was such a comfort to me, having struggled with this all these years, that there's still a mind. There's a
Behind
mind,
the thinker.
There's a mind behind my mind.
Absolutely.
That
And
knows
within.
all the answers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was
That's a
great.
God thing. Well, everything is a God thing. There's nothing that's not a God
The
thing.
effect that it had on me was a
Yeah.
God thing.
And did you say thank you when it was happening like that?
I did. I prayed. And I drank wine.
To me, that's a direct experience of being divinely led. That's a direct experience. So the thing would have been, the shame would have been if you had stopped it. If you had said, oh, this freaks me out, and stopped it. But that's what we do. That's why the song Get Out of the Way is so important. We often stop it. We think, oh, I don't know what's happening. We freak out. We stop the process. You're describing this thing that's greater than you working through you, and you, the little small I self, didn't have to figure it out. Now that you know that it's happening, you're working with it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I think that's great. That's divine guidance happening right there. We got to let that kind of stuff happen. I love that when that happens. I love it when it happens for me where I have a thought maybe at one time in place, and then I completely forget about that thought. And then later on something else happens that brings me back to the memory, but it's the fruition of it. It's the demonstration of it. I go, oh, thank you so much. Because sometimes then I really did need to remember it, but something in me forgot it, but something in my atmosphere, my infinite mind, did not forget it at all and brought it to being over here. Good, all right, a couple more. Who else? Vaughn.
321, second, or
She didn't wait to hear how many. Let's see, 3, 12, 2. I'm glad you chose 1 because 2 is very long. All right. Huh? That's right. All right, a sense of separation from our good causes us to feel restricted, while a sense of our unity with good changes the currents of causation and brings a happier condition into the experience. I'm going to read this again because there's some key things in here. A sense, where's the sense happening? In ourselves, right? So a sense of separation, that's us. A sense of separation from good causes us to feel restricted. We're the only ones doing that though. That's important. A sense of separation from good causes us to feel restricted. While the sense of our unity with good, so again, where's the sense? Within us. A sense of our unity with good, so that's like, am I looking at the restriction or am I looking at the good? Where am I looking? A sense of our unity with good changes the currents of causation and brings a happier condition into the experience. Everything in this physical universe is an effect and exists only by virtue of some invisible cause. That's Science of Mind 101. Right there. That's the basics right there. Everything in the physical universe is an effect and exists only by virtue of some invisible cause. Our individuality enables us to make such use of the law as we desire. We are bound not by limitation, but by limited thought. The same power which binds us will free us when we understand the law to be one of liberty and not bondage. The power within us can free us from all distasteful conditions if the law governing this power is properly understood and utilized. That's the crux of the whole teaching. That's it. Everything right there. That sense of separation or that sense of unity with good. Where are we practicing looking? It applies anywhere all the time. If everything that we're feeling and thinking and experiencing is part of the physical universe, there's something then that we can change that. We can move that effect. The same power which binds us can free us. We are bound not by limitation, but by limited thought. So the practice for me in this whole paragraph is, where am I putting my attention? Am I sensing separation from my good, or am I sensing unity with my good? I'm practicing that daily these days. Daily, many times a day. When I get hooked by stuff going on in our planet and our world, when I get hooked by how awful it seems, that's separation. That's me feeling separate from something wonderful happening. If I keep my attention there too long, I start to get depressed. I start to get angry. I have to take myself, wait, Sean, you have a choice. Take myself right back to my sense of unity with good. Because when I feel that sense of unity with good, I make a difference to the whole, and so do you. Good. What time is it, somebody?
10:48.
10:48. One more. One more. Who wants one more? 52. 52. Let's go. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 paragraphs. Number 3. It has been proved that by thinking correctly, we have a theme here, don't we? It is Ernest Holmes. This is all, this is what he teaches. It has been proved that by thinking correctly and by a conscious mental use of the law of mind, we can cause it to do definite things for us, through us. By conscious thinking, we give conscious direction to it, and it, consciously or unconsciously, responds to our advance along the line of our conscious or subjective direction. I'm going to leave the subjective part alone. You need to come and take foundational class or more to talk more about the subjective, because that's a whole category in and of itself. Just as it has been proved that by thinking correctly and by conscious mental use of the law, we can cause it to do definite things for us. That's what we teach. That is our practice. All day long, all day long, all day long, is to consciously use our mind for what we want to have in our life. It takes a whole lot of awareness, and that is probably the biggest practice there is being aware of our thinking. Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith said one time, you don't have to believe everything you think. You don't have to believe everything you think. Don't we think something and we get attached to the thought. He reminds us, don't get so attached to our thinking. But once you notice your thinking has gone down the tubes, you can change it, right? So you gotta notice. You gotta say, oh, I just noticed that I went to fear. Okay, I'm gonna acknowledge that I went to fear. What do I choose instead? That's our constant practice. What do I choose instead? Not to try to get rid of all fear, because now our attention is on fear. Not to try to get rid of all anger, because now our attention is on anger. But to just notice, oh, there I go. There I go again. Peggy Bassett, who was my very first minister. It's so funny how certain gems stick out of my mind. But she said this about herself. Oh, I noticed I ran into fear thought again. Oh, Peggy, isn't that funny? She made herself laugh at it. Oh, Peggy, isn't that funny? There you went down that fear thought again. Rather than, oh my God, I'm so mad at myself, I'm thinking fearful thoughts again. Oh, isn't that funny? Oh, there's that old fear thought again. And lighten up about it, it really does help. Just notice it, like, hey, I went to the fear again. Laugh a little bit, and then make a new choice. I want to read one more thing on this page, because I think it's really interesting on this. This is what we call Rule 52. So he just made this thing about where our thoughts go, right? Hence it follows that if we believe that it will not work, it really works by appearing to not work. When we believe that it cannot and will not, then according to the principle it does not. But when it does not, it still does. Only it does according to our belief that it will not. I love that. Isn't that the best? People go, well, that doesn't work. It's like, you're right. And hence, it is working upon your belief that it won't work. Our practice, over and over and over again, is to remember that we have a power greater than we are that is using this brain, the thinker behind it, but that we then get to consciously work with it, no matter what it is. Whether you're talking about a peace of mind, a relationship, a career, finances, health, whatever it is. Whatever it is, we get to start remembering the infinite first, knowing that it's coming through us, and then making our choice of how we want to use that power within us. And that's what I'm going to pray. So let's close our eyes. We close our eyes so that we can turn within, however that works for us. So if you can imagine going to the center of your heart, if you can just see the black behind your eyes and let it be a blank slate. If you like to see light, doesn't matter. Turning within with our eyes closed. Let's use the power of our sensing. And let's sense that there is a power greater than we are. Not a man in the sky, but a power, an essence, an energy, an intelligence, a source that is infinite and absolute, that is greater than we are. I'm reminded that it's greater than I am when I remember that I don't know how to make a rose, but something does. And at the same time, I can recognize that this one source is right here where I am. I sense it. I sense it in my intelligence and my wisdom. I sense it in my heartbeat. I sense it in every breath. I sense it in the movements of my body, the feeling of temperature on my skin. I sense that there's a higher power, a greater thing. Call it God, call it the essence, whatever. Right here where I am. And I use the power of intelligence within me to know it, to feel it. Whatever I know can be true for me is true for all of us. We are all part of that one source. That one intelligence created each one of us by becoming each one of us. And this greater power made us in its image and likeness. Therefore, we are intelligence. We are creative. We are love. We are divine beings having this human experience. And so I speak my word for us today. today that we remember the thinker behind the brain that we're using. And speak this word for us, knowing that the infinite life of the divine is in fact our very life. I know for us that today we begin to create from a higher understanding that the life we live is none other than the life of God in our own individual, unique, perfect way. I speak this word for us, knowing that this moment we put the little I, the small self, in the back seat, get it out of the way so that the greater spirit can move through us. And I know that moment by moment by moment, we grow, we learn, we evolve. And I know that as we practice individually and collectively, we get better and better and better. This is not a one and done. This is a perseverance. We just keep moving forward, remembering who we are. Divine expressions showing up in human form. I'm grateful to remember who we are. And with this gratitude, I just release this word now into the power of the law that knows how to take this word and do something with it. It is done unto me as I say, because I said so. And so I just let it go. And so